What up, motherfuckers? Before the hater gets started with this video, let me pause The Bachelor Greatest Seasons, motherfuckers. Bachelor Greatest Seasons. Yeah, this motherfucker. Yeah, alright, we got rid of that shit. I was watching some of that Bachelor Greatest Seasons, motherfuckers, because, you know, I didn't really watch it back in the day, and I want to see what the past has done. All I know is that in Bachelor, it's always a bunch of cucks, you know, that just show up, and they're like, I love this girl. I've loved her from the first minute I saw her. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You didn't know this girl for the first, 40 years of your life, and all of a sudden you're in love with this broad? Get the fuck out of here. That bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And your Bachelorette ain't much better, you know what I'm saying? They got these dudes that are like, oh, I'm an alpha male. No, you're not, bitch. You're not an alpha male. If you're okay with the girl that you like or whatever making out with some other dude and then fucking him by this end of the season, then you're not an alpha male. You're a beta cuck pussy. So anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the topic at hand here, motherfuckers. We're going to talk about 10 reasons off the top of the dome why Randy Orton fucking rules, motherfuckers. Fucking rules. Did I say 10 reasons off the dome? I meant to say 25, motherfuckers. 25 reasons why Randy Orton fucking rules, bitch boys. Yeah, that's what I meant, motherfuckers. Anyways, oh shit, my window's open. Let's see if my neighbor yells at me again. We're going to keep it open in this motherfucker. Anyways, we're going to get to 25 reasons why Randy Orton is fucking awesome, right? There's no doubt in anyone's mind, in my opinion, that Orton is just, obviously one of the best wrestlers of all time. This video is long overdue. And that's because now that Orton is back in a prominent position, it's no longer avoidable, motherfuckers. We got to talk about this. So Randy Orton, 25 reasons why he's fucking awesome. Starting right now with reason one, motherfuckers. Reason one. Randy Orton is great on the mic. All right? He is awesome on the mic. He always delivers these great, compelling promos. You know what I'm saying? About, whatever he's doing in that storyline, you know? He pretty much created a story for his betrayal of Edge, right? Edge didn't really contribute much. Edge was just there. The story was Randy Orton wants to, send Edge back home to his family. You know what I mean? And the reason why the storyline worked and the story was good was because of Orton's promos. It wasn't because Beth Phoenix came out there and took an RKO. No, it was because of Orton's promos. I remember even in Evolution, when he was a young guy, he would be tasked with delivering promos all the time. You know, I remember that classic one where him, Batista, and Flair are in the staircase, and he's the one talking, not Ric Flair. You know what I'm saying? It just goes to show how good Randy Orton is on the mic, motherfuckers. Reason two, Randy Orton is just great in the ring. You know what I'm saying? This guy doesn't really get injured that much. You know, he's had a long career, and it's been very successful for that reason. You know what I'm saying? Because he's good in the ring. You know, he takes the moves well. He does the moves well. You know what I'm saying? And here's something important. You know, sometimes when people try to do their move, it fails, but they play it off as if they did it anyways. Somehow, this phenomenon never happens to Randy Orton. So I'm talking about, for example, if Seth Rollins tries to do a super kick to someone that's jumping from the turnbuckle, he will almost always miss the super kick, right? If Owens is trying to do the same thing, a super kick, or trying to do a catch the guy in a power bomb, he will fuck it up sometimes. You know what I mean? Sheamus will fuck up the bro kick when he tries to intercept someone jumping, right? All the time, you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, Randy Orton never fucks up the RKO when he's supposed to counter someone who's jumping from the turnbuckle. He even caught Evan Bourne when he did a shooting star press. You understand what I'm saying? Randy Orton just basically never botches. He is the most consistent wrestler, I think maybe ever. You know what I'm saying? This guy's just never doing anything wrong as far as I can remember, motherfucks. Reason three, Randy Orton is charismatic, motherfuckers. He's charismatic. Randy Orton's charisma is a special type of charisma. It comes from, it's a mix of Batista's presence-driven charisma and Randy Orton's facial expressions just kind of let you know that he's just a cool guy. You know what I'm saying? So for example, when Randy Orton transformed himself and he cut his hair basically almost bald and he came with sleeve tattoos all of a sudden, you know, the amount of presence that he gained from that was insane, you know, and that added to his charisma. On top of that, he doesn't do things that aren't cool. Now, there are exceptions, of course. For example, during that time that he came out wearing a hoodie for some reason, that was fucking stupid. But other than that, Randy Orton is a very, I don't want to say run of the mill because that sounds like I'm saying something bad, but he's a very straightforward wrestler. He's not this guy that needs to just pretend he has charisma by bleaching his hair. You know what I'm saying? Doing all this goofy shit like that Bugenhagen guy on NXT. Like, Randy Orton doesn't need to do that. He just is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at Randy Orton, you're like, that's a cool guy. And for all of you that might be wondering, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people that I show Randy Orton to are like, oh, that's a cool dude, you know? I remember when he won the title from Benoit, me and my two friends were watching it at my house, right? One of my friends was like a kind of a wrestling fan, and the other one had never watched wrestling before, basically, right? And we're watching the show, and me and my other friend are expecting Benoit to win because, you know, he had this like epic win at WrestleMania, and Randy Orton wasn't really like a main eventer. And then Randy Orton wins. Me and my friend are shocked, and our other friend who never watched wrestling was like, what? Of course this guy was going to win. He thought the guy's name was Andy Orton. He's like, of course Andy Orton's going to win. Look at Andy Orton and look at this other guy, Benoit. You know what I'm saying? So to my friend, it was axiomatic that Randy Orton was going to beat Benoit. You know? Randy Orton is a superior man, so my friend correctly concluded that he would win the match, you know? So there you go, motherfuckers. That's reason 3. Reason 4, he looks like a tough guy. We just touched on it a little bit, but Randy Orton looks like a tough guy. There's going to be more about this in later reasons, but he looks like a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? He's muscular, right? He looks the part. You know, he has big arms. You know, he has like a shaved head, and he has like tattoos that are badass. You know, it's not some goofy shit. It's like real like tough guy shit. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he was in the army and he quit in the army. Whatever, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? But he clearly looks like a badass. You know, he looks like someone that would fuck you up, and he looks like someone that would take pleasure in doing so. You know what I'm saying? Reason 5, he is handsome, motherfuckers. He is handsome. You know, there's this hookah bar that I hang out at sometimes, and they show wrestling there, you know? And there's a few girls that go there, like they're kind of regulars, right? And every time on Monday night, they're like, oh my God, they look at Randy Orton, they're like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful man I've ever seen. So that's a positive, you know what I'm saying? Randy Orton's a good looking dude, and that's why he gets the ladies, and that's why he gets the push, motherfucker. Reason 6, Randy Orton took an otherwise relatively boring finisher and made it awesome again. You know, DDP made the diamond cutter cool, and then Bubba Ray used like a shittier version. Tommy Dreamer tried to use it, but Randy Orton made it cool again by jumping like 20,000 feet and grabbing the person and doing it in the most innovative ways since DDP. Yeah, the RKO is obviously one of the most iconic finishers now, and it's primarily because of Orton and not DDP, motherfucks. So that's another positive. Reason 7, Evolution is a mystery. Randy Orton was involved with Evolution. Evolution was awesome. Randy Orton was kind of the person that got the most out of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, Triple H had the title runs, but the entire point was to put over Orton and Batista. It's arguable that Batista would have eventually gotten over because he's big and strong, and he has that Batista presence. He has that John Cena appearance, right? But Randy Orton, it could have taken him a little bit longer. But Evolution was pretty much there to like elaborate and solidify the fact that Randy Orton is not just another up-and-comer. Like, he's not Rene Dupree, you know what I'm saying? He is a special one, and he is the future of the business. So because he was involved with Evolution, that's a great reason that he rules, motherfuckers. Reason 8, when Randy Orton was involved with Legacy, the whole angle of Legacy ended with Randy Orton burying the two of them, which was the only reasonable way for it to end. You know, people were like, who's going to win, Ted DiBiase or Cody Rhodes? And I'm like, Randy Orton is going to win the triple threat because these two guys are jobbers. They'll never make it. Randy Orton is like so much superior to them. Like Randy Orton looked like both Triple H and Batista compared to Cucky Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. You know what I'm saying? It was very like he felt like a leader, whereas in Evolution, he clearly felt like a protege. In Legacy, he felt like a leader. Part of that was because he changed his look a little bit. Part of that is because he was more experienced, but part of that is also because Cucky Rhodes and Ted DiBiase are inferior males to Randy Orton. It's as simple as that, motherfucks. Reason 9, Randy Orton's feud with Triple H. The match at WrestleMania wasn't the best, but the feud was one of the best feuds I've ever seen in my life. Randy Orton really turned it up to 11 once again with the storytelling. You know, Randy Orton is one of those few people like John Cena and Batista that doesn't need a gimmick. You know, they're so established that they don't need a gimmick anymore. You know, however, he still had a gimmick. Now compare and contrast this with dumb shit like Cucky Rhodes on AEW or Dolph Ziggler, who are not nearly as established as Randy Orton, not nearly as good as Randy Orton, but don't have a gimmick. So, if any of you don't remember, the storyline was basically this. Randy Orton, with help from Legacy, wins the Royal Rumble, motherfucks. Then some horseshit's going down, and he comes out to like face Vince McMahon, who like tries to Vince McMahon him. Orton just, I think, either slaps him or headbutts him, knocks him down, and then goes back and punts Vince McMahon in the head mercilessly. Then he grabs his head as if he's going insane, like, oh my god, what have I done? Maybe I shouldn't have punted him in the head, right? And thus develops Randy Orton's intermittent explosive disorder gimmick. The gimmick was that Randy Orton was not in control of his actions, that he was so crazy, right, that he was like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? He was not privy, but let's use privy for it, fucks. He was subject. He was subject to potential fits of like, you know, extreme violence, right? Explosiveness, right? He would just explode on people and he would really hurt them. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't fuck around. Same thing with CM Punk. CM Punk was like the champ or something, or he was gonna fight for the championship, and Randy Orton just attacks him from behind, punts him in the head, takes him out for like 8 months, you know? That was a great Randy Orton. And he won the Royal Rumble, and he beat Vince McMahon, and then Triple H comes out, right? And then Randy Orton's like, in the last few months, we may have forgotten the fact that I won the Royal Rumble, motherfucks, you know? And I'm coming for you, Triple H. I'm coming for you and everyone you love. And the story was so great. It was so fantastic because the motivations for Randy Orton were this. You screwed me out of Evolution. You betrayed me. And I have been biding my time, Triple H, you son of a bitch. I've been biding my time. I made my own team with the entire purpose of my team being to get my revenge on you, right? So, like, it was this, like, petty but dangerous character. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hadn't gotten over the fact that Triple H betrayed him all these years ago. And now he had developed, like, basically psychological problems that made him more dangerous than you could ever imagine, right? And this was solidified with reason 9, motherfuckers, reason 9, that the feud with Triple H, reason 10. Reason 9 was the feud was awesome. Reason 10, he kissed Stephanie McMahon in front of Triple Cuck, who was handcuffed to the turnbuckle. This was one of the best segments in the history of Raw, in my opinion, because it really told a story. Randy Orton was, for the first time, it's appropriate to say, he was stalking Triple H, right? He tied him up there. Triple H tried to reach for the sledgehammer, and Randy Orton just attacked him, like, brutally and threw the sledgehammer away, right? In this almost like a paranoid way, right? Stephanie McMahon eventually had to come out because Randy Orton was like, if you don't come out, I'm going to bash Triple H's head in with a sledgehammer, right? Like, lifted it up as if he was going to use the sledgehammer the way you're supposed to, you know? Stephanie McMahon comes out, Randy Orton does the DDT on her, the little, draping DDT, and then, like, Triple H is, like, handcuffed to the corner as Randy Orton is just, like, stalking her with, like, the hammer, right? Triple H tries to grab her leg, and then Randy Orton, once again, rushes him, kicks him like 2 or 3 times, and then moves Stephanie's leg away from Triple H's reach. And then he proceeds to give a kiss to Stephanie on her lips as she's knocked out from the DDT, making Triple H go crazy, and then it could have ended there, but no. He picks up the hammer and hits Triple H with it, right? Basically saying, like, I will destroy you, man. I will destroy your family to get my revenge. I am a different level of evil, you know? It was one of the best character performances in WWE history, especially by a guy with no gimmick. You know, it was believable, motherfuckers. It was all like the amount of care and how well Randy Orton played that character made you believe that this was real, that he was a piece of shit who was doing this in real life. And it was awesome. You know, and I mean, I like Triple H, but in the storylines, I've never really cheered for Triple H because I've always thought he was a little OP. You know what I'm saying? And back when he wasn't OP, I liked The Rock more. So this was one of the few times when I actually cheered for Triple H. But even though I respected Randy Orton's, like, ability to perform, you know, I was like, man, Triple H needs to win just because this story has been so good. That's one of the best moments in the history of Raw and one of the best moments of Randy Orton's career, in my opinion, motherfuckers. Reason 11, he punted Vince McMahon, motherfuckers. He punted Vince McMahon, and also part of reason 11, the punt, which is now back as a move, is one of the best moves ever. The punt is like the most straightforward, you know, beat-down finisher there ever has been. It's straight up a dude running and punting you in your head mercilessly, right? Even as a move, it tells a story, right? The story, kind of like when Rollins would do the pedigree, it told the story of, like, he's the next Triple H. The punt tells the story of, this is another level of Randy Orton that you're dealing with. You're dealing with the Randy Orton that gets off on putting you out, motherfucks, of ruining your career. And he does it with a punt. The punt is just fantastic. Reason 12, motherfucks. Randy Orton's face turn after Evolution was one of the best face turns in recent memory, if you consider that recent memory. It was great because he was betrayed, and even if you didn't like Evolution and Randy Orton, which I didn't really like at the time, you know what I'm saying? You felt for him. You're like, man, he was betrayed after achieving such a high moment in his career. You know what I'm saying? And the face turn was solidified beyond that when he came back on Raw like one time, and Evolution was surrounded by like the locker room. You know what I mean? And Randy Orton started RKOing people, culminating with him standing and Ric Flair backing up into him, turning around like a coward, only to get like standing RKO'd with like one of the highest jumps of an RKO ever, right? The crowd was going nuts. They were marking out for every RKO. And then Randy Orton did the famous Randy Orton spreading your arms pose after he did it to Ric Flair, basically saying like, fuck you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still Randy Orton, bitch. It was great. Reason 13, motherfuckers, was 13. Randy Orton has a great theme. I have voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. It's just a great finisher, a great theme, and it really fits Randy Orton, you know what I'm saying? It's not this like overly produced theme like CM Punk. We've been through the darkest days. Like, why are you singing like that? You know what I'm saying? I don't like music where the men or the women, but mostly the men, where the men sing like broads. You know what I'm saying? I don't like music. Well, I guess I don't care when it's women singing like broads, but you know what I'm saying, right? I don't like music where people sing in a way that is substantially different from how they speak. So all these like new bullshit country artists, you know, like not real country, but these bullshit ones like Walker Hayes and like Hunter Hayes and Walker something else, whatever. These little twerps, they're out there. They're like, baby, I go crazy. Like they make their voices sound like the most like emasculated voices ever. You know, like the worst one is that was like a Chris Lane or whatever. All his songs are like him moaning. You know, he says 3 words and lets out 5 moans. He's like, oh, I love you, baby. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like he's getting penetrated in the back by like Hunter Hayes or something. I don't know, man. He's letting out these moans like he's getting fucked. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The people that sing Randy Orton's theme, their voices are masculine, right? They're not like overly like serious, like it's not like a Garth Brooks voice, but they're still good enough. And the song is great, you know what I'm saying? And it fits him very well. Reason 14, Randy Orton is clearly not a pussy, motherfuckers, and we respect that in the hater channel. If you're a bitch and you don't like confrontation and you don't like standing up for things, then Randy Orton is not the wrestler for you, motherfuckers. If you're going to be passive-aggressive and not mention people's names when you talk about them, then Randy Orton isn't for you. Randy Orton is clearly a dude that doesn't fuck around. You know, he's masculine and he's not a pussy. And like I said, motherfuckers, that's why his theme song fits him well. CM Punk's theme song fits him well, too. CM Punk is kind of like a whiny bitch, and the song is a dude whining. We've been through the darkest days. Like, get over yourself, you pansy. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you go listen to some Walker Hayes, whatever that kind of garbage is, or that Chris Lane guy moaning like he's making love to someone, a guy or a girl. I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know. Maybe he's one of those guys that when a girl is having sex with him, he also moans. You know, he's like, whatever the fuck that is, motherfuckers. Reason 15, Randy Orton, beyond the RKO and the punt, has a great moveset that, more importantly, fits his character. This is something very nuanced, and this is a very important reason, right? The moves of the character, the names of the moves, and like the way the character does the moves are very important to the character. So take, for example, Jeff Hardy, right? Jeff Hardy, everything he does is consistent with the Jeff Hardy character. Part of this comes from the fact that he's very charismatic. So, you know, when he started doing that goofy-ass hand signal with the 2 guns, right, it became cool because Jeff Hardy is cool. The Swanton Bomb, it's like a reckless move, and he does it from reckless situations, which fits his character. Now, imagine if Jeff Hardy's finishing move was a chokeslam. You know what I'm saying? That would be retarded, right? It wouldn't fit the Jeff Hardy character. Now, compare that to Hurricane Helms, whose finisher was a chokeslam amongst other finishers, right? Hurricane Helms, or the Hurricane, right? His finisher, the Hurry Chokeslam, was a great finisher. It fit the character perfectly. The whole concept was Hurricane is a cruiserweight. He shouldn't be chokeslamming anyone. But because he has this boost in confidence, because he thinks he's a superhero, he's able to do incredible feats of strength, like chokeslamming people, right? It is the finisher that a superhero would have. And that is great, motherfuckers. Similarly, Randy Orton's moves are very Randy Orton-esque moves, right? So Randy Orton's wrestling style is like the, calculated and methodical. So he has that stomp thing he does, where he walks around the person's body and stomps each one of his limbs and then the head, right? That's a very Randy Orton move. It's a very, calculated move. Like, I'm going to take you apart one by one, you know what I'm saying? Like, it do damage to your entire body, right? The draping DDT, vintage Orton, motherfucks. That move is also a very calculated Randy Orton move. Nowadays, it's more of like a spot, but before, it was basically like he catches the guy in the ropes, right? It's like a calendar almost. He catches the guy, and he does this kind of creative way to DDT someone, right? It's like creative, methodical, and it's a move that happens to you when you fucked up, right? That's a lot of Randy Orton's moveset is you fucked up, Randy Orton took advantage of it. These are the little nuances that, for example, are completely missing from AEW. And people that don't understand wrestling and the actual storytelling elements of wrestling don't get it. They don't see it. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that, for example, Randy Orton's scoop slam, right, is a very thorough and deep move, right? It's basically like you fucked up, you didn't anticipate the scoop slam, so you get it. And sometimes Randy Orton goes for the scoop slam and the guy holds onto the ropes and Randy Orton just spins in place and does the scoop slam, right? The idea there, the storytelling there, is that if the guy hadn't stopped, Randy Orton was ready to catch him in a mistake, right? But because Randy Orton is so calculated, right, he went for it anyways, and the guy wasn't there because he anticipated it. These are little nuanced things, but these are what make matches great. These are some of the things that made Orton versus Edge great. It's not like, Okada kicked out of a drop kick once again. Who gives a fuck about that? That's fucking goofy shit. It's like two beta males wrestling for the IWGP beta male title, Randy Orton would beat the shit out of both Okada and Kenny Omega if he wanted to, just for fun, motherfuckers. So anyways, the punt obviously fits his character very well. This whole I'm gonna just destroy you type of scenario. He used to have that move, one of my favorite moves ever. It was basically a Canadian backbreaker rack, right? That he would drop into a reverse neck breaker, And that move was worthy of being a finisher, right? And more importantly, he does things he did the pedigree, when he wrestles Undertaker, he tried to do the tombstone, He's that kind of guy. His moves fit his character. Now, I'm not saying Randy Orton has the highest amount of moves, but a lot of them, the little backbreaker thing he does, the little back neck breaker thing, that also is you fucked up, you will now be backbreakered. You know what I'm saying? So, whereas other wrestlers, Big Show, for example, his moves are not you fucked up. His moves are, I'm Big Show, and I'm going to overpower you. You understand what I'm saying? So, Randy Orton, you could even argue that he has his own, distinct, counter wrestling style, if you will, right? Not some horse shit this and that and this, Hiroshi Tanahashi and his stupid 3-move, matches. So, there you go, motherfuckers. Where we at? All right, reason 16. Randy Orton is what Cody Rhodes thinks he is and what he wants to be. You understand what I'm saying? Randy Orton is exactly the kind of person that Cody Rhodes envisions himself as being. Problem is, and this is I don't even think this is debatable. You look at Cody Rhodes and you look at Randy Orton, you just look at them. You don't even have to watch them wrestle. You just look at them and you see that one of them is an insecure jobber named Cody Rhodes and the other one is a real man named Randy Orton. It's no one in the world, I honestly believe that if you take everyone in the world that does not know who Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton are, and you're which one of these guys is a better athlete or a better wrestler or a better human or a better man or a superior man? 100% of the people will say Randy Orton. When I say 100%, I mean 100%. I don't think one person will think Cucky Rhodes is better than Randy Orton in any way. You know what I'm saying? But despite that, Cucky Rhodes believes that he's a Randy Orton. Randy Orton is really a once in a generation wrestler, And he's someone that fits, he fits all categories as to what he's supposed to be. So that's what I'm saying, motherfucks. This is a reason why Randy Orton rules, because it goes to show the superiority of WWE and the superiority of one of the top guys in WWE versus the top guy in AEW. Think about that for a second, motherfucks. Next time someone starts thinking, I think the best wrestler in the world is Hideo Itami, followed by Kenny Omega, and then after that, I think it's The Blade from AEW. I think that's my top 3. Every time you think about that or you hear that, just go to that person or go to yourself if you're thinking yourself and say, how are any of those people or anyone in AEW better than Randy Orton in any way? I'm not even saying better overall because that's not even possible, but better in any way than Randy Orton. Name one guy that's better at anything than Randy Orton in AEW. I can't think of one. The only arguments are Ray Phoenix can do better flips. Yeah, that's true. You know what I'm saying? Ray Phoenix does better flips. But beyond that, like in terms of like, is Rey Fenix better in the ring? Absolutely not. Rey Fenix botches like 5 moves a match. You know what I'm saying? Is he better at like telling a story? Fuck no, he's not. Is he cooler than Randy Orton? Fuck no, he's not. Is he in better shape? Fuck no, he's not. Is he bigger? Fuck no, he's not. Is he more handsome? Fuck no, he's not. You know what I'm saying? He's inferior in every way. So that's what I'm trying to get at, motherfuckers. Next up, reason 17, one of my personal favorites, cucks. Randy Orton lived up to his potential. You know, in this day and age, a lot of athletes get smoke blown up their ass. You know what I'm saying? So we have, for example, Zion Williamson. I don't know anything about the kid. I'm sure he's good. But they have blown this guy's ego to levels that are unprecedented. You know, I understand this is the coronavirus season and he was injured, right? But I want to see if Zion Williamson lives up to his potential. As far as I'm concerned, the only athlete in my lifetime that has lived up to their potential is LeBron James. He's the only one that was, when I was in high school, and he debuted, he was hailed as the next big thing. And he became the next big thing. Everyone else has been underwhelming, you know? And I don't just mean in the NBA, but I mean everywhere. Like RG3, Andrew Luck. These were supposed to be like in that draft year, they were supposed to be like the 2 quarterbacks that lead like the league in popularity and success. And quite frankly, Andrew Luck didn't do it, and RG3 was, let's be real, one of the biggest failures in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it, motherfuckers. Johnny Manziel, all these people that had hype don't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like the 14-year-old soccer phenom, Freddie Adu, and 15 others that have followed like him, like Clint Dempsey and these jabrones in the U.S. soccer team, didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Didn't make it. No one makes it. The only 2 that have lived up to their potential are fucking LeBron James and Cristiano Ronaldo, who was hailed as like a legend before he was a legend, and he became a legend. You know what I'm saying? The other third person in this 3-man group is, of course, the legend killer, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? He should go and RKO Ronaldo and LeBron's bitch asses, right? Randy Orton, and he is the coolest out of the 3 of them. So he has actually lived up to his potential, and people don't have to make shit up about him. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to make excuses for him. There's like, here he is, Randy Orton, motherfuckers. Everyone who understands wrestling likes Randy Orton. Now, reason 18, he had an awesome match with Edge this weekend, motherfuckers. That was a great match. I loved it. One of my favorite matches of all time. And I dare say, the best Randy Orton match of all time, I think we can say with certainty. And probably the best Edge match of all time, if you don't count like TLC. You know what I'm saying? It's the best Edge match. It's either this one or the one with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Those are the 2 best Edge matches. But it might be this one, motherfuckers. It might be this one. So there you go. What else? Yeah, reason 19. He is the first guy. This is also a very important reason. Randy Orton is the first guy, I'm pretty sure, that really put The Undertaker over at WrestleMania as being a big deal. Because Undertaker was undefeated at WrestleMania for a long time. But for a long time, no one gave a fuck. Like, up until he wrestled Randy Orton, the streak wasn't really a thing. Sure, JR would mention it every WrestleMania. He'd be like, The Undertaker's 10-0 at WrestleMania, King. You know? But that would be it, right? The storylines were not around that. You know? The storylines weren't around, like, Undertaker cannot be beaten. Because for a long time, Undertaker wasn't really a legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, back in, like, the Attitude Era, he was just another wrestler. Like, he was a tenured wrestler, because a lot of people there were, like, kind of new, you know what I'm saying? Because people were moving back and forth from WCW to WWE. But Undertaker was not this legendary guy until he hit his 10-year mark, and they started with a decade of destruction, you know what I'm saying? And that's when he became cool, basically, right? Like, you know, like WrestleMania cool. And the first match that I can remember was Taker versus Orton, right? And Orton being like, I want to wrestle Taker at WrestleMania. Like, Orton was the first person that sought to wrestle Undertaker at WrestleMania in order to make a point. And this has led to this entire Undertaker and Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania, like, which pretty much has validated Undertaker's second half of his career, which is just him showing up like once a year and doing a WrestleMania match. You know what I mean? So that was fucking great. I really like that shit, motherfucks. You insane? Reason 20. Randy Orton RKO'd Stacy Keibler in yet another great heel turn. He was playing this, like, you know, like reformed good guy because he had left Evolution, right? And he was trying to romance Stacy Keibler. This would be one of many times when Randy Orton uses the romance angle to be an asshole, right? But this was great because Stacy really liked him, and the whole story was I am willing to RKO Stacy Keibler. Do you think I cannot beat The Undertaker now? I'm going to do whatever the fuck it takes. I am not distracted. I am focused, right? And that was great because she sold it like a champ. Stacy Keibler is one of the best divas of all time, motherfuckers. Reason 21. Randy Orton has had an incredible career that has had longevity. That's what's important here. The longevity as a wrestler is substantial. Randy Orton's got to be nearing 40, and he's been around for like since he was like 21, 22 or some shit. Like in OVW, he probably joined when he was like 18 or 19. You know what I'm saying? So he's been around for 20 years or almost 20 years, and he is like in his late 30s. You understand what I'm saying? AJ Styles started his WWE career at age like 39. You understand what I'm saying? Well, Randy Orton is younger than when AJ Styles started his career. Think about what that means, motherfuckers. If Randy Orton wants to go for another 10 years, he can go for another 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like if Matt Hardy can keep going, Randy Orton, who has been in better shape than Matt Hardy at any given point in the history of Matt Hardy and Randy Orton both being wrestlers, right? He can go on for a lot longer, motherfuckers, if you wanted to. So there you go, cuts. Randy Orton's longevity by itself makes him awesome. Reason 22, and this is going to be weird because the hater currently has long hair, almost ponytail length. Actually, I can make a little ponytail, you know what I'm saying? Like, actually, I have like a serious ponytail. You could argue, right? But reason 22, Randy Orton does not have long hair, motherfuckers. In this day and age, every wrestler thinks that they can become cool by having long hair. Everyone looks the same. You know, like Elias, Drew McIntyre, Adam Cole, fucking who else, motherfuckers? I know there's a lot more. Seth Rollins up in this bitch, Roman Reigns. All these guys are just long hair having motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? Randy Orton is one of the more masculine ones, and he has short hair for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Dolph Ziggler tried to do it. He tried to go masculine by cutting his hair and not bleaching it blonde. But then he quickly realized that he's just really like, he has the personality of a wet carrot. So there's really no point in him doing anything except for having long blonde hair. Because at that point, that's the only thing that makes Dolph Ziggler interesting from a wrestling perspective. I hear he's a stand-up comic, maybe he's funny, I don't know. But as far as wrestling goes, Dolph Ziggler has always been presented as a wrestler with zero personality, you know? And when he tried to have personality, you're like, nah, fam, we're not gonna do that. Shut the fuck up, bleach your hair blonde again and grow it out, bitch. That's what happened. Whereas Randy Orton has no hair, basically, and it fits him well. It fits this, like, snakish appearance and his very masculine persona. And just like Randy Orton, motherfucks, the hater is gonna one day shave his head once again, motherfucks. Maybe I'll do that as part of my face reveal or something. Who knows? There we go. Reason 23. Randy Orton has only gotten more badass over time. When he debuted, he had these goofy ass, like, tattoos that a generic 20-year-old frat boy would have. You know, he had bangs for some reason. That was fucking stupid. Then he started spiking his hair and, you know, started wearing suits and shit, right, when he joined Evolution, which fit. But he wasn't badass. He was actually too baby-faced to, like, be, like, an actual wrestler, you know, to feel masculine, you know. But then what happened was when he started oiling himself up and tanning, and he got this, first to start with a little skull and a little rose tattoo that he has on his inner arm, right? Then 2 weeks later, he just comes out with full sleeves and a shaved head. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden, this guy's like a different level of a human, you know? He's more aggressive. He's, you know, he looks more masculine. And now he has hit that time, right, where he's almost 40, where I think men are in their prime. You know what I'm saying? Where he looks the best he's going to look in terms of being, like, masculine, right? He's going to look the most masculine, the most virile than he'll ever be. You know what I'm saying? So, as a result, it's fair to say that Orton has gotten more and more badass over time, motherfucks. Reason 24. We had to mention this reason. Not one of my favorite reasons, but it had to be mentioned. Randy Orton is the youngest world champion in WWE history. And I don't give a fuck if wrestling is fixed. The fact that they made him the youngest champion proves that they understood what they had on their hands. He could have been the youngest champion or held any kind of record, and it could have been taken away from him if they wanted to. But they didn't do that. They kept him as the youngest champion. Why? Because he is one of the best wrestlers of all time. That's right, motherfuckers. And reason 25, as usual, my favorite reason. My favorite reason, motherfuckers. His feud with Tommaso Ciampa, motherfuckers. He has exposed Tommaso Ciampa for being the inferior wrestler and inferior man by his little Twitter feud, right? Randy Orton is better than Ciampa in every way conceivable. And Tommaso Ciampa being like, oh, you have boring matches, that's just horse shit. No one remembers any Tommaso Ciampa match. Nobody gives a fuck about Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa is lucky to be employed by WWE. Tommaso Ciampa wanting to stay in NXT is not because he respects NXT. It's because he understands that when he's going to be compared with people like Randy Orton and the real motherfucks, the real A-listers, the mainstream wrestlers, he will look like Taka Michinoku. He is a Taka Michinoku level wrestler. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what he is. Randy Orton exposed him for being a guy that does slap kicks, has absolutely no idea how to tell an in-ring story, has no idea how to do any real character work, has no charisma, and has no mic skills. You know, Randy Orton is exposing this guy, and that's fucking great. And we need more of that. Randy Orton is a real one. He is an anti-smart. He's not a fucking pussy, and he's not one of these pandering, like, sissies that's out there being like, no, I don't want to say my opinion because I might get in trouble. No, he ain't a bitch. And that's why the hater channel loves Randy Orton, motherfucks. And with that, I bid you adieu, and I think I'll go back to my outro, motherfucks. Always real, how did it go? Never unfiltered, always unfiltered, always unfiltered, always uncensored, the hater. Subscribe now, motherfuckers!